So I used to go in as a parent and look at schooling in the UK, I have to say, not in the UAE. And I just used to look and think, I just don't want that for my kids. I just want them to be more free. My eldest was getting anxiety in the mornings because if you're 3 minutes late, you're reprimanded. There were other children in the class that were telling them things they'd seen on TikTok, and then it was giving them anxiety. I would like to say that my kids are quite innocent still, and I just don't want that innocence to be taken away.
Is that because it's a lifestyle that you want to live? It's because of travel, or because of things specifically you want to do with your girls that you think if they're at school you don't have the time to do?
We all know that school holiday flights are so expensive. So actually the joy of homeschooling means I could take them whenever.
What is it that you felt you've learned at school that helped you become an entrepreneur? And what do you feel are the skills you've learned outside that school didn't teach you?
Best lesson in school was being around so many people, but then the school suppressed that, and that wasn't great. I guess the biggest thing is don't be scared to make mistakes.
So Khadija, welcome to Parenting Without the Manual. It's great to have you here as our first guest
Thanks
for our
for
new
having me.
podcast. I couldn't have picked a better person. I could say so many glowing things. We met each other, how long ago? Like
A month
A
now.
month ago? Oh God, it feels like,
Feels like years.
yeah, 10 years. Get less murder. But yeah, look, you personify everything that I want this podcast to be about, right? And it's really about modern day parenting and understanding how to raise children in a modern society. You've got 3 kids. I'd like to hear a bit about you because you're an entrepreneurial woman. Give us a little bit of a short backstory so the audience can get an idea of who you are and you're homeschooling your kids and kind of what brought you to that decision.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I'm a mum of 3. My eldest is 11, middle one's 9, youngest is 5, all girls. I call them my girl band. And I'll be honest, ever since they started school, I wasn't really feeling it. You know, you go into assembly and like fingers on lips, and they've got to be a bit, I don't know, I used to say it's like a concentration camp sometimes, depending on the school, obviously. But for me, I've always wanted to be free. I'm definitely on the ADHD neurodiverse spectrum. I find it really hard to sit still. So I used to go in as a parent and look at schooling in the UK, I have to say, not in the UAE, but in the UK. And I just used to look and think, I just don't want that for my kids, actually. I just want them to be more free. Now, I have nothing against school. I studied, I went to uni, studied law, loved it, loved school, was really popular, loved that. And so I do have mum guilt sometimes with the decision that we made as a family to homeschool. Sometimes I think, am I doing the right thing for them socially? Do they need more structure? But thanks to things like Elysian Minds, they have structure and we have our own structure. And we're really focusing on the things that they love. And yes, I am an entrepreneur. I've got soft play cafes in the UK. I run a private members club here in the UAE. And so I guess also them being homeschooled allows me and them to have more flexibility to travel. The dad works in Saudi, so we can go there whenever. So yeah, we are homeschooling family, unschooling, world schoolers.
So, I mean, so you moved from the UK to the UAE about 3 years, is it 3 years ago?
Yeah, I came on holiday and I didn't leave.
Right.
Yeah.
And so obviously you had your girls with you.
Yeah.
And then obviously you also, like you say, they go between here and Saudi as well?
Yeah, mainly here, mainly
Okay.
Dubai, but we do go to Saudi, yeah, and then the UK. So we all know that school holiday flights are so expensive. So actually the joy of homeschooling means I could take them whenever. And you know what? We did it last year. Then they went back into school for the first term. And then again, the school's great. It's nothing against the school, but just us as a family. It just, you know, those mornings.
Is that because because it's a lifestyle that you want to live? It's because of travel, or is it because of things specifically you want to do with your girls that you think if they're at school you don't have the time to do? Or?
I think it's a bit of all.
Yeah, okay.
I think my eldest was getting anxiety in the mornings because if you're 3 minutes late, you're reprimanded. There were other children in the class that were telling them things they'd seen on TikTok, and then it was giving them anxiety. I think it's partly me kind of being a helicopter mum and wanting to control what they have access to. I would like to say that my kids are quite innocent still. Like even my
Okay.
eldest, she'll be 12 in June, but you know, she's still very innocent. And I just don't want that innocence to be taken away. I left home when I was 15. So I think maybe a huge part of it is me projecting, wanting them to enjoy their childhood for as long as possible. And there's a lot of things like financial literacy, which thanks to Alicia Minds, but I didn't realize how much they're learning from me. They were there
I was
painting.
about to say that.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, I've spent time with you. Firstly, I think your kids are great.
Thank you.
And very mature as well. And wise to the ways of the world. Like how they handle themselves. They're not like, they might be innocent in nature, but they're not naive.
Yeah, they're not naive. Yeah.
And I think that being around you and you're juggling to be a mum of three, single mum of three, and having multiple businesses that are very successful and they've got a lot of moving parts, and you're doing a lot of networking. They get to meet you and your friends and other business associates and hear conversations. And I know that the questions they ask are more about, Mummy, how do I learn this?
100%.
And which might not happen if they're at school per se. So
For
I think
sure.
they'll learn a lot more.
Well, like we had Chris Fade speak at one of our events last year, the year before, and they got dressed up in their little dresses and they came, and Mummy has to leave early because I need to set up. Even today, they said, where are you going? I said, I'm going on Dan's podcast. They're like, oh, wow, will we be able to listen to it, download it? I recorded them on a podcast, Keep It Real with Khadija, after The Apprentice, and they were listening to the episode this morning, and Talia's like 3 years old saying that when she grows up, she's going to be a ghost, and we're like, what? But, you know, they're really in the world of entrepreneurship, podcasting, YouTubing, but not being the watcher. They more want to be the creators.
Yeah.
I'm noticing things with Talia that she's really into science, and I didn't know that about her. You know, like it's a big eye opener. She's in the kitchen making experiments, and she loves Mark Rober, I think, scientist.
Really good.
She loves him. And Soraya sat through Alicia Minds, and she was like, Mummy, there's lots of positive affirmations. I'm like, I didn't even know she knew what a positive affirmation was. But I think selfishly, they're my besties, and I want to be around them. I don't want to miss out in all of that time, and then they come home from school and they're tired, or we have to squeeze everything in on the weekends. So for me, this is what works, but no judgment to anyone. I also love school, you know?
I think it's great because I think that there's a lot of parents that could think because you've got a busy life, that you could say I'm too busy, so I need my kids to be away at school, whereas you're integrating them into that busyness and they get to see it and appreciate. And again, to be an entrepreneur, it takes a certain level of dynamicism and time management and things. And if they can see you doing that, I think it opens their mind up. And my sons are at school at the minute, okay? Under different circumstances, I would probably homeschool. I think school does a great job for connecting them for socialization at some level. And I think it's also drilled into us culturally to put our kids in school.
Yeah.
And I think for me, he's at a private school. And if I'm not betting, look, it's going to help him read and write and stuff like that. But I'm looking at more for connections of what lifelong friends he can make there. That are going to evolve with him in time rather than what he's going to learn academically. I think there's some basics he's going to learn, but the real stuff, and as an entrepreneur, I'd like to teach him entrepreneur. I kind of want him to pick his ways, whether it goes into sports or entrepreneurship or whatever, to be honest with you, as long as he's got confidence and the understanding that he can learn whatever he needs to and he can develop whatever he needs to, and that confidence to go after what he wants to do is the main things that I want to instill in him. But what I want to ask you, so you've got into homeschooling, you're managing with this, and like, what are the key things that, as an entrepreneur, well, I suppose, let me ask you this, right? You studied law. Are you practicing law now or not?
No.
Okay, cool. So what is it that you felt you've learned at school that helped you become an entrepreneur? And what do you feel are the skills you've learned outside that school didn't teach you that have developed you to become where you are today?
I love that question. I think what I learned in school was to be friends with everyone. So I'm not saying academically I loved my school. They really helped me. I remember my AS levels, I got like DEU, but I ended up with BBC and then ended up on the BBC. The irony. But they really supported me and they pushed me through it. And I left home at 15 and moved to London, and I was getting the train back to do my A levels because I had it drilled into me. I should be a lawyer. I need to be a lawyer. That's what I need to do.
Too, by the way.
And I actually wanted to go into hair, and my dad was like, "Oh, there's no money in it." I'm like, "What? The salon owners are raking it in." But I studied law, and that was good for me. But I think my biggest skill and that was kind of suppressed in school was that I was chatty, I was outgoing, I defended the year 7 that was getting bullied by the year 9, you know. Everyone knew me. I'd walk through the corridor and it's like, Khadija. I was friends with every group of person. And that wasn't nurtured. I was told to be quiet, stop chatting. And actually now I run a networking group. My skill is to introduce people, is to be friendly. And it's not something I put on, it's just who I am. I love humans. I love making friends. I love connecting. I love helping people. That was probably my best lesson in school, was being around so many people. So that's where, you know, sometimes I'm conflicted when I'm homeschooling. But then the school suppressed that, and that wasn't great. And then what have I learned since? I've learned a lot. I guess the biggest thing is don't be scared to make mistakes. And I say that to my girls all the time. And that's another kind of small gripe that I have with school, is that you have to tick the boxes and you have to be good at English, and then you have to be good at math, and you have to be good at this. And if you're not, then you're less than. And actually in entrepreneurship, as you know, being less than and making mistakes is the best thing that you can do. Layla Hormozi said, the faster you make mistakes, the better it is for you.
Okay.
So you should be targeting yourself to go wrong. But school doesn't really give that same kind of energy. You shouldn't be targeting yourself to go wrong. Actually, if you're not right, then you need extra help, or you're not as good as this person. And I just don't want that for my girls. I want them to make all the mistakes that they need to make to keep improving as humans, you know?
I think that a lot of people that are not entrepreneurs, that look from the outside, assume people start and they get it right first time, and, oh God, if only I was as good as them. And the reality is that no one gets it right the first time.
No.
And
Or the second.
Or the second or third, exactly. And and the route to entrepreneurship is being willing to try and fail and picking yourself back up, and having
100%.
that grit and resilience to keep going, which again is another thing that, you know. So it's interesting you say that, because my son, he's going to be 9 next month. He's a little bit like you. He's outgoing. He's a strong personality. And look, we send him to one of the best schools in Dubai, and it's an expensive school. I think the school, it cost me over $2,500 a month. So it's a private school. Very proud, but they don't nurture. It's challenging to them. So funny enough, I had a meeting just before this podcast with somebody who's very influential, and we were talking about how schools are still getting you to sit down and be spoken to, and not as much interaction. I think they're trying to get better, but the curriculum's quite old and archaic. But if you look at today, who's successful, and we spoke about being a lawyer, so it's funny because we were similar age group, and I was taught to be a lawyer, and that's where the success is. And, you know, would you teach your kids now to be a lawyer? I think if you taught them to be a lawyer, well, if you taught them now to be a lawyer or a YouTube influencer, which one has a better life and has more success? I mean, you think a lawyer is working all hours, if they're successful, working all hours on a generally a fixed wage, can't travel around the world and do all this kind of experiences. And you look at a YouTuber who's now a celebrity, who's earning probably a month what a lawyer earns a year, and can have a great health regimen, and can literally have access to everything they want, and live life on freedom and live life on their terms. So the economy that we're in today, you know, are schools prepared? It doesn't matter what business you do, even if you're a hairdresser, by the way. You talk about
which
hair,
is amazing.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
But you still want to be like a YouTuber or an Instagrammer or something that is able to market, because the difference between Mary that just does hair and, you know, somewhere down the road, or Jane who does hair but knows how to market, is a whole different world. It's a whole, you know.
And are they teaching marketing in school? Well, I did media studies at A-level, which I guess was my step in. Yeah. But I don't know that marketing is strong enough.
I think so. You know, when I'm thinking about schooling, I'm thinking more at a younger age. I mean, I suppose if you're looking at, I don't know what they're teaching in secondary school, but more at primary school. The kids today, different when I was 8 and 9. When I can only look at my son to know, and his sort of like friends and stuff. They're all on tablets. They're now exposed to YouTube. They're now on this like Roblox, and so, you know, they've got access to so much. They understand so much, like technologically, like they can use things, and they had to set up their Google Meets and all of this, right? So, so if we're not teaching them how to do it the right way, then the stuff they're exposed to on YouTube and all this other stuff is teaching them the wrong stuff.
I know, and I do have like a bit of a YouTube, I think, is great to one degree. Like you said, Tali is learning, watching Mark Romer, the Ninja Kids, the Ninja Kids family. They were just doing gymnastics, and now they've got a trampoline park, and they've got merch,
Right,
and they've got
yeah.
this. So I like that from that. But I also think, and another reason why I'm homeschooling is to really manage my children's humility, because it's very easy when you live in Dubai, when you have access to everything, when you watch YouTube, to lose touch of reality. And I think one of the biggest reasons I would say why I'm homeschooling is I want to mold them and nurture them into grounded, humble, nice, kind people. We went to IKEA the other weekend. There was a charity stand in there. Not that we ever like to talk about what we do, but for my children, that was part of their homeschooling curriculum that we went, and there was like one of those spinny things with the numbers, and they'd helped 9,998. And then my girls got to roll it up to 9. So they just helped another family because mummy subscribed to a direct debit. They've got Go Henry debit cards, and they'll do chores and jobs, or they're asking mummy, can actually Soraya copy and pasted some data into a CRM. I don't know when she would access a CRM if I wasn't more involved in her life. And I just think that there's certain things that I really want them to be as humans. And I don't want their personality to be dictated by their peers who are also children. So as the adult, and to be honest, their teachers, because I don't know their teachers from Adam. I don't know what their values are. I don't know who they are. I think humility and being grounded and being a good person and giving good deeds and being personable and being chatty, these are all things that are super important to me. And I need to be around my children as much as possible to make sure they adopt those values, you know?
You know, it's funny to talk about the teacher again. Like, so when we moved to Dubai, and I wanted my son to go to school, I looked for the best schools. Well, how is it rated the best? What's excellent and very excellent, or whatever there was. And we went to one of the best schools, and it looked amazing. I was so proud when we got our son in there, and I was taking pictures there. And then because we'd moved from Spain to Dubai, he was a bit behind, and they wanted to hold him back a year. And I was quite conscious that how he would look at himself if he was held back a year, right? So I did whatever we could. So we got the teacher to come and tutor him every day. A, it was super expensive, but B, when she came, I really didn't like her energy. Okay. And it got me to realise that, well, the school on the outside and the building looks nice and the accreditations are nice, but we don't really know the teacher.
Yeah.
And when I got to see the teacher more regularly and how she was handling my son and not handling him, and the negativity that she had, and probably how she felt about it, it just made me think I need to take a bigger role in because my son is spending day
most
after
of
day,
their life
most of
with the teachers. I know.
Right. And I'm like, well, that's not what I want to instill in him, you know. The other thing I want to talk to you about as well is because while you are homeschooling, you do a lot of activity. So we're talking about like from the business side and the networking and the tech stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, every day you're at a water park or you're at Bounce or you're doing stuff. So look, there's a massive obesity epidemic, right, in the world. And a lot of this is because kids are sitting down. They're not taught about nutrition. They're not taught about fitness. Of course, look, and again, this isn't an attack on schools, because I think schools do the best they can. I think every institution does the best it can, whether it's a medical institution or it's an education institution. But to handle a vast number of people on a global scale is hard, right? So that's where we got to do our bit as parents and provide the things that we can. But you know, I don't know how much schools educate on nutrition. Of course, they want some physical activity. But I remember when I was at school, I used to skip PE because I didn't like it.
Lots of people used to. I loved it, but lots of people used to skip it.
But I think that then there's fun ways of doing stuff like bounce or like going swimming at a water park
Yeah,
or
so
whatever.
my kids love paddleboarding.
Yeah,
That's their
amazing.
new thing. So they'll just go out on the paddleboard. They don't fall off. They love it. Again, it's pricey though, but then I weigh it up because I'm not paying school fees.
Yeah.
So on what I would pay in school fees, we go to Bounce.
But they're life schooling, right? Because that's what
It's life schooling, yeah.
Yeah, that's what the homeschooling.
I'm actually getting them a tennis coach and a paddle. Because how great if they start learning paddle now. Paddle and golf and tennis are such great networking
I was about to say paddle's
skills.
the new golf, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
I mean, you know,
Paddle's great.
All the business used to be done on the golf course. Now it's done on the paddle course.
It is done on the paddle course. So if I, you know, and it's not me pushing them. These are things that they want to do. But when they were in school, they'd finish school and I'd say, girls, should we go do something? Should we go, I'm tired. I want to watch TV. And bless them, their little brain has been working in overdrive all day. So then extracurricular activities where they'd go, but reluctantly, Now they're doing things and they're putting their all into it, because that energy that they were spending at school learning things that they weren't interested in, they're focusing now on being great paddle players or paddle boarding or, yeah. I mean, academically, I do want to make sure that they're ticking the boxes and doing the assignments. So they're registered with an online schooling, so that if they ever wanted to go back into school or go to university, that they're not,
the
like you
options,
just
yeah.
said, I don't want to take anything from them. I just want to give them as much as I can. So yeah, I mean, Soraya said that she would love to go into architecture, and that, what a great career, or interior design. So I want her to have the qualifications to be able to do so, but I also don't want her to be stuck in
How old is Soraya?
11, so
11.
she's year 7.
Okay, so do you think now that the time would be better spent her going down to some kind of academic learning, or you taking her around and showing her buildings, or getting around some of your friends that might be in architecture and just teaching
Oh,
some
100%.
stuff?
We'll be doing both. So
Yeah.
she'll be doing the online schooling she needs to complete year 7. You know, she's in that. Whereas Talia's year 5, you could be a little bit more relaxed. Nene's 5, you know, so we're just reading Elma with her, like she's good. But Soraya, we do need to take it a little bit more seriously. So she needs to do, but again, she takes her laptop to the Sofitel and she'll be sitting at a desk. She'll go and swim for a bit and then she'll take her laptop, do some Elysian Minds, then do some of her assignments. And that's her life. And if I can give that to them, if I've worked this hard over the last decade to give that, I want to be able to give that, you know?
I think another hidden gem in when you're working off your own laptop is self-discipline, is some structure.
Yeah.
What's helped me in life as an adult, as an entrepreneur, is to be able to organize my days where I say, like, for example, I'm going to go to the gym every day for an hour at this time. Right, or I'm going to go for a run every day at this time, or I'm going to go and do some meditation every day at this time. And so that structure that I go, right, every day that I'm doing that because out of a choice.
Yeah.
I think when a child is able to self-educate,
Yeah.
it unlocks another power that they can learn anything. If they want to be a pianist, they can schedule that time and learn it. If
Yeah.
they want to, whatever they want to do, it empowers them with that discipline. you
Well,
know?
she's a whiz on Duolingo.
Yeah.
Talia and Soraya say, Mummy, we're going to go for a morning run. So, yeah, they're definitely, you're so right, actually, about being able to regulate your own and not having somebody else dictate to you what you should be doing, actually having the confidence to do it yourself.
Yeah, and stick to it. So just coming to close, I want to ask you if there was one key thing. So your kids are 5, so go.
5, 9 and 11.
5, 9, and 11. So what does the sort of next couple of years look like for you on their educational journey? Like, what are the key things you've had to make? Like, make some intentional choices.
Yeah.
Would you do you see yourself keeping them as homeschooled and world schooled? Do
Yeah.
you see yourself putting them back in schools? Are there certain key things that you want to expose them to?
Homeschooling, world schooling. So they've been world schooling really for a year, but we haven't seen enough of the world. So we've got some plans this year, inshallah, God willing. LA, we'd like to go to LA, spend some time there. We haven't done that. My bestie from when we were 12 years old, Tasha, shout out Tash, she just sold her house and she's traveling with her 2 children. So she's in Australia at the moment. She was in New Zealand. They went to LA, Bali, I believe. So I've said to her, right, okay, in March, tell me where you're at. And me and the girls are going to come and join you. Yeah. So like, what a great, and I never take a day of this life for granted. And I teach that to my children. You must always have gratitude, because this isn't a life that everybody has, and they're very lucky to have it. And I don't want them to think that it's easy or that everybody lives this life. It comes with hard work, a lot of grit, a lot of dedication, but they're really understanding. If I get a full of beans call from my coffee shops, at the moment it comes to my phone and it'll go full of beans call, beep. And my girls are like, shh, mummy's got a call. So they know that is serious and mummy needs to work. Otherwise you can't have this freedom. You can't travel the world. So definitely we will be homeschooling, but leaning more into world schooling and seeing more of the world.
I've got a lot of friends that are starting to do that. I do a lot of work. You talk about America. I've got a lot of. I work very closely with Andy Elliott and Jackie Elliott, and they homeschool their kids. And talking about this stuff, they integrate their kids into their their events. So they bring their kids on stages, or their kids see them on stages and impacting loads of lives. And so it's all intertwined. And I think that the level of confidence, they travel the world with them and take them different places. And the level of confidence that it develops in kids, and maturity and life skills,
100%.
I think is amazing. I think it's great. And I think that for me, you're a huge inspiration to parents, because for you, you're not just a parent doing this, you're an entrepreneurial parent doing it, and you're a single mum as well. So to manage all those things, and it's not like you've got one kid, you've got 3 kids. So I think how you're managing it, and the kind of wraparound of my girl band, I just think is
Thank you.
amazing. So kudos to you. Thank you for your inspiration. Thank you for your time today. It's been really enjoyable. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Oh, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me. Much love. Thanks.